If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. PK, we had the question up. We were discussing it earlier in the show. The question's up on our Facebook page. Now that the Mammoth are out of the playoffs, what should we be talking about? And several people said college football. For years now, we've been doing a spring football tour, checking in on all the opponents for our local schools and seeing how they stack up and how they shape up. And, man, there has never been – there was always a little bit of doubt and mystery, but as the transfer portal picks up speed, there's more doubt and mystery than ever before. These things how much do you trust what you hear now, and how much do you think there's still doubt and mystery because these teams don't know exactly what they have?
Well, I think you have to look at it generally speaking, and I think there's some doubt, as you say. I think locally, though, that they haven't relied heavily on the transfer portal with BYU and Utah, and they're both coming off very good seasons, and they're both returning quarterbacks and running backs and obviously some other players there. So you're looking to sprinkle in to augment what you already have with your transfers. So in terms of having a feel for the two locals here that we're talking about, and of course Utah State, and then we'll follow Weber too as they get going, maybe so. But across the board, trying to figure out stuff in the conference or nationally, that is where it can get dicey.
Yeah, there's just there's so much change. And even if you can assess the talent, chemistry matters. And then, of course, you always have injuries that throw everything into turmoil as the season unfolds. They are, as multiple coaches like to point out, inevitable. So it's just how do you adjust? For Utah, they've got the University of Arkansas on the roster or on the schedule in their non-conference schedule. And John Nabors joins us now, owner of Inside Arkansas and host of Locked On Razorbacks. John, good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody out there in the great state of Utah?
Well, we just said goodbye to the hockey playoffs. We're waiting for the lottery with the NBA and the Jazz. And in the meantime, we're thinking college football, John. So we're pretty good. Pretty good. We got options.
Yeah. Well, I wish hockey was a bigger deal here in Arkansas, but unfortunately it's like basketball transfer portal is about as crazy as it's getting right now for Arkansas fans. So, but we're all over the place.
Utah's playing Arkansas in football. Arkansas is coming off a 2-10 season and with 10 straight losses. So that tells people a lot right there. But if you look a little closer, 5 of those were by a field goal or less. A couple of them were one-pointers. How much of a base is there to build off this team, and how much is it hit the transfer portal and fix this? Because 2-10's a mess.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take you one step further into this whole debacle that is called Razorback football. Not only have they, of course, as you mentioned, gone 2-10 and lost 10 straight games and had some of those close losses, since 2012, since the day that Bobby Petrino wrecked his motorcycle on that infamous day nearly 15 years ago, the Razorback football program in one-possession games has gone 17-49. Let me repeat that. 17-49 in one-possession games since 2012. If you want to know why Arkansas as a football program is not being viewed in the way that maybe it once did, or at least viewed in a way that's respectable, there's your reasoning right there. And so now you have a new coach in Ryan Silverfield. You have essentially a new roster. I believe over 80% of the roster, brand new, mainly from the transfer portal. You have some new freshmen. You have a complete clean slate inside the football program. And it just happens to be at a great time when they make it 9 SEC football games. You got Georgia being your first SEC football game, but of course the Utah team that you mentioned, they got to get through. So it's a tough thing to navigate, but it's interesting because obviously in the SEC, Arkansas has not had that much success over the past decade. In fact, in the past 10 years, Arkansas, five of those 10 seasons, half of them have ended with 1 win or less in SEC play. Just can't happen. So this is trying to rejuvenate the program. And to me, that Utah game, game 2, is by far the most important game of the season this year.
Yeah, and they got to come all the way out here facing a team that has his quarterback back, and they're 11-2. They obviously made a bunch of coaching changes, but they're expected to be good. And they do have their quarterback back with Dampier. And for Arkansas, I understand it's a two-way battle between K.J. Jackson and A.J. Hill. Tell me, which of those initials is going to win it?
I think it's going to be K.J. Jackson. I think it's always been K.J. Jackson from the jump, and I think that the way that they've approached it has been more of a coaching type of mentality of just trying to, not give too much out there and give everybody a puncher's chance. Because here's the thing. When Ryan Silverfield was hired, the day he was hired, he had 2 players that were currently on the roster be kind of part of that and part of that announcement to get people excited. One of them was Quincy Rhodes, the defensive end, which by far was the biggest get, because he was a player that, despite going 2-10, he was a player that a lot of NFL draft experts had going in second round, in some cases maybe even a possible first round at the defensive end position. But the other player was K.J. Jackson, who was the backup quarterback last year for Taylon Green, came in and started one game, played a little bit, but that was the other one. And I just don't think that you would have gone through, if you are Ryan Silverfield, through all of that process and all of that rigmarole and bringing him back and showcasing him and all that, if K.J. Jackson was not going to be the quarterback. So I think he's the guy. I think he's going to end up being the guy. Is it by default? Is it because they have no better option? That's the ultimate question. But I do believe when it's all said and done, K.J. Jackson is going to be the QB1 for Arkansas.
Reading up on spring football in Arkansas, I was surprised to see that you still get to see fairly significant portions of the spring practices, and it's been duly noted the same offensive line keeps rolling out there. Is that a sign that they've actually got a really good O-line, or is that a sign that there's a lack of depth and by default it's these 5 guys? How do you feel about that group?
Well, as far as your practice thing, yeah, they had to do that for sure because under Pittman and everything, it was locked down, and they're trying to do some things to try to get the fan base back. I don't think that they've done enough, but they're still always trying to open it up and be more accessible to the team, which is nice. But as far as the offensive line goes, I believe that it's a middle-of-the-pack SEC offensive lineman. I don't think it's horrible. It's not bad. I mean, you're returning 2 starters from last year's offensive line with Caden Kittler at the center position, which is extremely important, and also Kobe Branham, who's a young player who has a lot of promise. So you have him, and then you added some guys that really were some good gets out of the transfer portal, whether it's Bryant Williams, came from a smaller school but had a lot of different offers. I know Tennessee was trying to get after him and get him on the team. But you got him. You brought some guys over from Memphis that I know Ryan Silverfield was really big on too. And ironically enough, Ryan Silverfield, his background is offensive line. Like that's where he really got his start going. And during the spring practices, not only did I like the depth and like what I saw from some of the things from the offensive line, but you also had Ryan Silverfield over there the majority of the time working with him. As a head coach, he's always going everywhere. But with the individual drills, the vast majority of the times that I got to see, he's over there with the offensive line. So you would think, I know this didn't go the right way with Pittman, but you would think that if your head coach is by trade and his background is offensive line, that should mean your offensive line should be your strength or at least one of your strengths. So time will tell. But I think where it stands right now as far as the roster goes, they're a fine offensive line, but I think they're far from being a bad offensive line.
He brought his offensive coordinator from Memphis with him, and so looking at Memphis, they've usually had a good offensive line, or not offensive line, just an offensive unit. We expect much of the same in the way Memphis ran its offense.
I think so. I mean, you don't do that. You don't come in here and say, all right, we're going to change what made us successful for the past 6 or 7 years, the past times that we were there in Memphis. Like, we're not going to do that. So I think we're going to see something similar. And I'm just basing off of personnel. I think that this offense is going to be based where it's not going to be flashy. And not to say they don't have good players. It's just not going to be the offense that we saw maybe the past couple of seasons with Arkansas and Bobby Petrino or anything like that. I think it's going to be focusing so much on controlling the time of possession, limiting turnovers, limiting mistakes, and just trying to grind out some games. If Arkansas is going to win some games, especially big games this year, it's going to be ugly games. It's going to be low scoring, kind of boring, whatever, which, hey, that's fine as long as you win. But just given the circumstances, I think that it's not going to be an offense that we're going to look at the end of the season and be like, man, that was a fun offense to watch, which is fine. I think it's just going to be a lot more efficient of an offense because they're really focusing on that. They're focusing on doing the little things right. And considering the quarterback situation, I'm not very trusting of it. It doesn't look very great right now, just from what I've seen from spring. But running backs, wide receivers, offensive line, I think they have some pieces where they can at least make it a serviceable offense this year.
Are there any difference makers? Anybody the NFL might be drooling over, or is it more the system and everybody's got to execute?
It's really tough, man, because, again, like you've added, literally like 80% is just so many new players in here.
Yeah.
But I will say that there's been some guys that have stood out. Like I really think Braylon Russell, he's been a running back that's one of the few guys that's been retained. He slimmed down a lot. He was a 4-star running back here out of the state of Arkansas, and he's going to enter in his junior year. He slimmed down, and he looks really good. He looks like the way an SEC running back should look. He looks lighter on his feet. And also Chris Marshall, who's a guy that originally he's a wide receiver, started his career at Texas A&M, transferred around, was ended up at Boise State here recently. But he's had some trouble off the field. He's had some issues that are pretty well documented. But his talent level, you see it. Like you can just look at the guy back. Yeah, there's a reason why Texas A&M wanted him originally. He's definitely a game breaker. So those are the couple of ones I would watch as far as, solid guys that you can maybe think that could be game breakers. But other than that, we just haven't really seen enough to know one way or the other.
How about along the defense? Defensive end, Quincy Rhodes, I read a little bit about him. Against Utah, man, they ran the ball like crazy last year. They were as good as anybody in the country, and they were right there with the service academies, which run the ball all the time. So I'm expecting more of the same with them to be able to run the ball at an extremely high level. I realize they lost 2 offensive linemen to the NFL in the first round, no less. But nevertheless, the history has shown us that Utah can run the ball. So I'm wondering from the defensive perspective to be able to stop them.
Well, I can tell you this, that the defense is going to be much improved from a year ago because it's hard to not improve from being absolutely god-awful. Like, it just is really, really tough not to at least improve there. But honestly, I think the defense might be the strength of Arkansas, as crazy as it is. Now, that strength may not be enough to win them 10 games, but I think the hiring of Ron Roberts, he's a defensive coordinator who was there at Florida over the past few years, a lot of SEC experience, was at Auburn at one point in time. He's brought a great staff, a great recruiting staff, especially over, and he's being very, very creative. It's not just a simple, like, all right, we're going to run a 4-3 defense, have 4 down linemen. And no, he has gotten it to where he has a lot of hybrid position players. He has guys that are DNs as well as linebackers. He has guys that are linebackers as well as cornerbacks. I mean, he's got these hybrid things to where you're going to see a lot of different formations getting run around. And I like the idea of it because at Arkansas, you're not going to get the big-time upfront dudes all the time like Georgia or Texas or anything like that. So you got to get creative. And I think that the way he's approached it and approaching his personnel is really great. So I think they're going to be better at getting after the quarterback. I think they're going to be better in the secondary, which has been a huge problem for them. But the running attack is going to be interesting because they don't have necessarily the size that you would think. So how are they going to be able to be physical up front? That's where the creativity may come into place. But, I think Arkansas is going to be a better defense. I think that their strength is going to be more so of getting after the quarterback. But that rushing attack, especially going up against a physical team, that's going to be the ultimate challenge, and they'll have an early one against Utah to solve that one.
I'm interested in your levels of defense. If they were truly god-awful, are you looking for just merely hideous, well below average, within reach of mediocrity? Where are you looking here?
Yeah, I'm thinking of just not giving up 80-yard touchdowns every game, something like that. Just kind of being to where you can put lipstick on a pig, don't pardon the pun, and just try to make it work. Because Arkansas has not had a great defense for a long time now, but there is their big plays, it was their penalties. It's just not fundamentally sound. Just being good enough to where, hey, if you can make a few stops, hey, get a couple 3-and-outs, maybe get up an interception or 2. Just do some little things like that to make a difference. I think that'll go a long way.
He's John Nabors, owner of Inside Arkansas, host of Locked on Razorbacks. John, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Thanks for giving us a little peek at Razorback football.
No problem at all. Looking forward to being out there in Salt Lake City this upcoming football season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great area out there, and looking forward to that matchup. Should be a good one.
All right. Thank you, John. That'll be Utah and Arkansas week 2 of the season. PK, he paints a pretty bleak picture. We are fortunate we are not covering teams that have that bleak an outlook.
Well, you're 2-10.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's...
Yeah. But and 2-10, a bad year. But to trace it back to one possession games for almost 15 years now, yikes.
Yeah, and your quarterback leaves, Green. He was a kid. I think he was at Boise, right? And then went down to Arkansas.
Correct. Yeah, Taylor Green.
Now going to try to make it in the NFL. So they've got to reload there. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a struggle for them. I would expect Utah to roll, actually.
Yeah. Especially when he starts talking about, not very big and physical in the run defense. You're like, well, okay. So now we know what.
And as both of you said, a god-awful defense.
Oh,
I've never heard you use the expression god-awful.
Truly. Get the entire quote there. Yeah, it's not really my go-to. It kind of shocked me when he said it, but like
I've done this show.
A lot of times you get these on and you talk about how some people in the media are fans following teams and all that, and you just lit those guys up.
DJ, I've done this show, so we went back last year because I wanted to figure out when I started with you guys. Mm-hmm. So today is my 12-year anniversary with you two.
Oh, wow. Happy anniversary!
Thank you.
Cinco de Mayo, huh?
But, yeah, exactly. But I can tell you, in 12 years, I have never heard that phrase come out of your mouth.
It did surprise me.
It wouldn't have if he hadn't said it. But it just
I know, but still, that's not a Sniggledorf.
Down on these guys. I mean, you think turn the page with a new coaching hire and 80% of the roster's new. Nope, he's down.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's really bad. Saw the Sun Devils do it, but they had an NFL back sitting there that we didn't really know about. We knew decent. The quarterback played well, and an NFL receiver on the other side, and so they had some NFL talent. And they call lightning in a bottle, and good for them. I wouldn't count on that very often, though, to go from that bad to that good in a single season, particularly in the SEC.
Yeah, and he did it. The coach did it in his second year. We're going to coach here in his first year.
Right.
So can they set the table a little bit and then get it up and running?
And Silverfield coached 1 year of high school ball, and he was 1-9. So he sucked in high school.
DJ and PK, when we come back, everything you missed in this show coming up next. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoq.
The head coach of the University of Utah, Alex Jensen, kind enough to hang out with us.
I knew there's not any one person or one thing to blame, but the decline with the basketball at the University of Utah, I knew it had gone down. We played 4 top 10 teams at home, and we played Arizona was number 1 in the country, and the place was half full. And I remember walking out, and it was the first time I got pissed off because things had just slid, and it's everything. There's just a disconnect, I think, through the community. I can't count how many people that came up and said, yeah, we've had tickets, or we used to have tickets. Everybody remembers going to a camp when they were young, and they have memories of a game and stuff. It takes a while to build. The connection's been lost, and it doesn't help that the team changes as much as it does every year. I'd love to have the continuity, but that's just not with the rules the way they are now. It's not the world we live in.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slacker Radio Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 1-855-TRAJAN-1 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. PK, many stories to get to this morning. We had Brian Geltzeiler on. Get him wherever you get your podcasts. He had a lot to say about the NBA playoffs, the Knicks, a big, big deal, a big, big blowout of Philly in Game 1, but he's expecting a very different Game 2 after that 39-point annihilation.
Yeah, I think that reminded me of that. Remember that time the Jazz had to go to Seattle?
Yeah, they knocked off San Antonio in 6, I think, and then had to go play Seattle in the Western Conference Final in a short turnaround.
Right. So they basically had to give away that game. And I think that was because, the Knicks shot like 63%. My gosh, every artery in Majerus's body would have burst.
Yep.
If his team allowed somebody to shoot 63%. That's a stunning number. You just need to look at that, and you don't need to look at anything else. 63% to know that team was going to win that game. You're just not going to lose an NBA game or a high school game or any game. College, obviously, too. If a team shoots 63%, that's unheard of. I don't even think they shoot that high a percentage in the All-Star game. So that's incredible.
See? Good point.
Right. So with that in mind, I expect it to be much more competitive. But, the story of the day is obviously Minnesota winning that ball game. No doubt about it.
Minnesota wins 104-102. There were a lot of great storylines for Minnesota. The fact that, first off, the fact they got Anthony Edwards back, that he was willing to come off the bench. He scores 18 points in 25 minutes, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He did have a late turnover and gave up a couple offensive rebounds, and he was frustrated about that in his postgame interview. But that was a big boost for them. Mike Conley went into the starting lineup. 4 of 7 from the three-point line, hit a huge 3 in the fourth quarter. Just their playoff experience. They have so many veterans who've been in so many games. And, they've lost a bunch of playoff series in the second round of the conference finals. Julius Randle, obviously, with the Knicks before the Timberwolves. They got guys with experience other places, Gobert and Conley. But the fourth quarter, they were really good until the last 2 minutes. And then they made a mess of it. The Spurs, and especially Wembanyama, and PK, that stat line, that's not the stat line that has the Spurs getting, number one, where they are, and number two, where they want to go from here. 11 points on 5 of 17 shooting, and 0 of 8 from 3.
Yeah, what's amazing, he's had more blocks than points. You wouldn't think that.
Nope. 12 blocks, 15 boards. He did the other stuff, but...
Yeah. And shooting is shooting. And Gobert, he's a whipping boy in the NBA for some reason. Shaq seemed to be jealous of the attention and money he got. He's not a prolific offensive guy, but offense is important, but so is the other side of the game. And so he's very good at that. And we'll see what they do to make adjustments to get Wembanyama a good opportunity to make more shots. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. There's just no doubt about it, and he's really, really good. And he had a bad game offensively. I think you got to give Gobert some of that credit, but I think that when it's said and done, they still win the series. It just goes to show you, man, how difficult it is to win an NBA series, right? The Nuggets gave the Timberwolves a little bit of a challenge there. Probably should have given them more of a challenge under the circumstances, but didn't. And then they got to go to San Antonio. They win that game. It's so emotional. Well, if you win this series, most likely OKC's sitting over there waiting for you. So you got whatever you did in round 2, you got to do more in round 3. Maybe if you got through round 3, the Eastern Conference team would be easier in the final. But I don't know. We have no idea of knowing that. But the fact is, it takes a lot of effort and work to win an NBA title. No doubt about it. I've only been in the winning team's locker room once, and that was the Bulls, Michael Jordan in the fabulous form in 1991. And as they celebrated wildly to the point of running out of liquids to pour on people, and they were scrounging up. This is how innocent it was back then. They were scrounging up change to the soda machine and getting root beers and pouring it over their heads in that situation. But the overriding emotion seemed to be one of tears. And people were crying. I mean, because it just takes so much, and particularly for the Bulls in that situation, which had had a number of crushing defeats. So, man, if you finally get to the mountain, you deserve to go crazy because it is hard to do.
When we look for Game 2 adjustments, the three-point shooting, you pointed out this morning, the Spurs, 10 of 36, 28% is terrible. But it really comes down to Wembanyama and Fox. Those two were 0 of 12. Everybody else was 10 of 24, which is about 40%, and that'll win a lot of games.
You ain't live with that.
But Wembanyama and Fox just couldn't make anything. A combined 0 for 12, Wembanyama 8 of them, Fox 4 of them. And I wouldn't think those two are going to keep shooting like that. Nor would I think that we'd see another 4 of 7 from Mike Conley on the three-point line.
But a lot of his shots were wide open, though.
He did get good looks.
I mean, he's way down the totem pole in scouting reports. And the thing that I didn't like, man, they go with a step back, a slide step 3. Well, I don't know. It just seems.
Well, they had 6 seconds to get the ball up court and get the shot.
But that's what they looked like they were going to do if they had 26 seconds.
Possibly. I didn't think Wembayama, when he got that last rebound with 6 seconds left, I didn't think there was a ton of urgency there. I'm not sure if he was aware of the clock.
I can see by judging by body language, which is what you're going by. I get it.
Yeah. So Timberwolves win game 1, 104-102. Tonight we get the Lakers and the Thunder on NBC, and the Eastern game will be over on NBC Sportsnet or streaming on Peacock. So a little harder to find that game. That'll be Cleveland and Detroit.
I'd be more fired up about that second game if Doncic was playing.
Yeah, but without Doncic, Thunder roll, right?
Well, I think they'd win the series with him.
Right.
But without him,
they roll.
I don't expect a lot. That's just too much to ask.
Yeah.
I would favor OKC anyway, but I'd rather see Doncic in there because he's carried some teams. And he carried the Mavericks to the finals that year, didn't he?
Yep. 6:30 tonight, NBC, Lakers and Thunder. The NHL playoffs continue on. Vegas, fresh off knocking off the Mammoth, win game 1 over Anaheim, 3-1. It was 1-1 with 5 minutes to go. There was an icing call that was waved off that Ducks didn't think that Vegas should have gotten that go-ahead goal. So there's a big old beef there. Vegas added an empty netter, and they win 3-1.
Well, with Vegas doing so well now, I'm regretting the fact that I turned in my Vegas gear.
Nice. You'd like to pop that back on?
Yeah.
You probably have more than one. You probably still have something buried back deep in the closet.
I've been in Vegas, and I've watched playoff games with Vegas people.
Minnesota and Colorado tonight, ESPN at 6 o'clock. Colorado won game 1 in the series 9-6. So we'll see what these two have in store for us.
Well, that's just crazy lack of goaltending. But then again, Patrick Roy isn't walking through that
Patrick Roy. Did you do that on purpose?
Yes.
I thought so.
See, instead of door, I said dois.
Dois.
He's not walking through that door. I don't know how you get however you pronounce his name. It's spelled R-O-Y. That looks like Roy to me. What do I know?
No, I know. Roy. Patrick Roy. We spent a little time talking broadcasters this morning. Who fired you up? Who are the legends? Because Yankees lost John Sterling, passing away at the age of 87. He retired just a couple years ago. He called over 5,000 games, including 8 World Series appearances. The Yankees win. And that got people recounting the glory days of the superstations, because both the Cub and Brave announcers got a shout-out with Skip Carey and with Harry Carey. And, of course, there's a couple of Southern Californians. We immediately went to Vin Scully, who was awesome.
Yeah, I actually got my Vin Scully in Arizona, moving over there and not having any baseball team. And Dodgers were on. Dodgers were on KTR, which is owned now by Bonneville. Mm-hmm. And they 98.7 is their sports station, a sister station owned by the same company. But they broadcast the Angels and Dodger games, and I was always a National League guy, so I gravitated towards the Dodgers. I mean, they used to have that thing. What was the guy's name? Goodman, I think it was. You know, for kids, you can send in and get some material or memorabilia and a hat or something, you know, and it's like $25, you know, and you get 4 or 5 things. I mean, I think I did that. Sending in, because the Dodgers that was the only thing I had was Dodger baseball on the radio. So literally from 14 to 15 years old, growing up with Vin, Jerry Doggett and Ross Porter were the other two, but Vin was the man. And then, of course, moving over there. And then standing in the food line once covering a Dodger game, and there's a guy, I could hear a voice behind me, and he was getting real animated about some umpiring and getting quite colorful. I thought, man, I recognize that voice. And I turned around, and it was Vin.
Yeah, I never got to interact with him. That would have been cool. And he did a lot of other stuff. I mean, there's clips you'll watch, old Masters
golf,
clips.
football. Yeah.
Yeah, and the NFL, when Montana throws to Clark in the back of the end zone to beat the Cowboys, Vin Scully was calling. I think that was the last game he called for CBS. So sometimes you see old clips and you'll see that stuff. That stuff's all out there on YouTube if you like that kind of thing. But baseball was it. I mean, he was with the Dodgers in Brooklyn and then all those years in L.A., and he had a million stories. The one always stuck with me one day when I was sitting there playing the commercials in the Dodger radio network at KTMS in Santa Barbara. And he told this story. They were in Pittsburgh, and it was some dreadful game. I don't know, 11-2 or some blowout. And it's late, and it doesn't matter. They're just getting through to the end of the game. And he starts remembering about, and at that point they would have been playing, they hadn't built the new ballpark with the gorgeous views of downtown. They were playing in Three Rivers Stadium. And he started talking about calling games at Forbes Field. And at Forbes Field, the only way to the press box was through the stands. And he said the fans would stand and yell at you and sometimes throw stuff. You would linger. He says you used to linger after the post-game show as long as possible, waiting for Forbes Field to clear out so you didn't have to deal with those people. And he was calling the pitches and just getting through the half inning. He always had a hilarious story.
Well, yeah, he would be in this very century tell you stories about Jackie Robinson.
Yeah. Yep. He bridged so many generations of baseball.
60 years.
Unreal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jackie Robinson story one half inning. Sandy Koufax story the next half inning.
And when I was a kid back east, Marv Albert was the guy. Yes!
Oh, yeah. Yes!
With those Knicks teams. Back then when I was listening and watching the Knicks religiously.
Unlike Vin, he started really young, didn't he?
I assume he did, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
And then we all got to know him because he got picked up by NBC and TNT, so saw him call a lot of national games. Yeah, but their true passion. I mean, they love the job and they love the money and love the family. But you could hear it when they were calling games. They really enjoyed the game. And you said that about Hot Rod once. This has always stuck with me. That the thing you loved about Hot Rod was that if the other team did something sensational, whether it was one play or it was a run during a game, like you could tell Hot Rod just enjoyed good basketball.
He did.
He enjoyed the sport.
He did.
And really, that should be the minimum we get out of these broadcasters. Like, there's so many people who love the sport. There's got to be somebody who can call whatever game who loves the sport. So let's hear some passion.
Right. I want guys that, or ladies, doesn't matter. They love the sport. And for Rod Hundley, he clearly loved the sport of basketball. And I get you're going to get slanted. I don't have any problem with that. If I turn on local announcers and expect them to be 100% impartial, which I don't think is possible anyway, I'm the fool. This is not the way it is. But I always loved when a great play was made, it reflected in his excitement of the game that he was watching before him. He enjoyed great basketball. And great basketball is just that. When it's played the right way and it's done in a selfless manner, the ball's moving and these guys are coming down doing what they do so slick and so smooth, that is something to get excited about. And you always could hear it in his voice.
Yeah. Which is why you get so frustrated when it just turns into a one-dimensional three-point contest.
Right.
It's like, guys, there's other options. Feel free to explore them. Come back to the three-pointer in a couple minutes. How about somebody go to the rim?
Well, yeah. I mean, my basketball history is the Knicks in the 70s moving the ball. Mm-hmm. And then the Lakers in the 80s. Sorry, Jake Scott, but that
moving the ball.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I come up here and they got a dude who is moving the ball and seeing things 2 seconds, 3 seconds before they develop and putting that ball right on the money. That's what always got me excited about the game.
You really are spoiled. You've seen Walt Frazier, Earl Monroe, Magic Johnson, and John Stockton. That's a nice quartet.
Yes.
It's a nice little group right there.
Yes, exactly. That's the nucleus of my basketball.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know who's right with you? I know you're not watching the show anymore, and I see it a couple times a week, and I happened to see it yesterday. PTI, Michael Wilbon, lost his mind over the Celtics shot selection. He was so frustrated.
Yeah.
He was so frustrated.
Especially down at the end when it was a close game.
And they got one plan. And if it doesn't work, they are so stubborn. They just stick with it. They didn't need that much more, but they were just going to go down one way. Kornheiser was over there just giggling because clearly he's been hearing Wilbon yell about this for years.
Right.
It wasn't a one-off, but it was when he was going off, I was like, wow, Wilbon should sit down with PK. They could just lose their minds together.
Right. If you're hitting, fine, but if you're not, try something else.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah. When I was playing high school basketball, we didn't have the three-point shot yet in California high school ball. They got it a few years later. But even taking 18-footers, the coach is just like, you missed 3 in a row, guys. Take it to the hoop. Get yourself fouled. Get a layup. Maybe the defense collapses on you. You throw it out to somebody else, and what are you doing?
And shooting is fickle.
It is, and especially from distance. It just – even inside, even in post play, it can be a little fickle. But, yeah, you start getting out 18, 20, 25 feet. Or in the case of Steph Curry and Damian Lillard, 35 feet. Still fickle.
Right. But, I mean, those guys, I'll excuse them because they've got a long history.
Yep. Don Mattingly is working his magic. The Phillies are 6-1, PK. The team of your youth. Look out. There's still 5 games under 500. Maybe one day they'll be the Cubs, who are 16-3 in their last 19 and 12 over. It just seems like baseball, there's more big streaks being run off. Are there more teams tanking in baseball so there's some easy wins built in to get these hot streaks going? What is going on? Because this whole, hey, win 2 out of 3, keep your head above water. I mean, there are teams going on runs for weeks.
Teams that get going and are in a groove and start getting good pitching, and then the hitting, everything perks up that way, and a couple guys get hits. And then it just sends the message, hey, we got this guy, whoever's out there. Confidence it's a strange thing, but it's required. And it also seems that when you're not going well, you have crappy at-bats. And when you're going well, your at-bats, even if it's not a hit or you get on base, you're moving the runners, you're hitting the ball hard. I mean, they've got all those statistics. And I think over time, those things, if your velo, they call it, or how many times you've hit the ball hard, because we know in this sport you can get a check swing bloop that doesn't even dent the grass and get a hit, and then you could hit just a bullet right at somebody and they catch it. But over time, that's what you want. I've always thought analytics in baseball is the most appropriate of all the analytical sports. All the analytics that are used in sports, I think baseball is the truest.
I don't think there's much question about that in a team sport. Maybe the analytics are only better in individual sports, maybe golf or tennis or something. But in these free-flowing sports, everything that happens before impacts what's happening right now. So it's really hard to say, this is the thing you need to focus on, because there's so many things going on at once. But in baseball, everything stops. One pitcher throws one ball to one batter, so you can isolate that stuff, and I think those numbers just mean more.
And every pitch you can take an analytic from and use it to your advantage. Right. Literally every single pitch.
Yep. And you're right about that velo thing, because I just read a thing about Fernando Tatis Jr. for the Padres not hitting well, not good numbers and all that.
Because he's off the juice.
He was right, but he was talking old school, frustration and all that. And then they talked to some of the other, people, and they were like, "Yeah, but we've checked all his numbers. The number of times he hits the ball hard, the exit, the velocity, and all." And they're like, "It's all there. He's hitting it right at people, and it's like it's all going to be fine. Just wait."
I think it will be.
He's like, all the numbers are good. It just doesn't feel like it because the old school box score doesn't add up. But he's hitting the ball hard. And it's 4 feet short of going out of the yard, which might be the juice. Or he's hitting a line drive right at the third baseman, which that's just bad luck. Always has been. All right, DJ and PK, when we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us. Feedback of the day is brought to you by Half-Priced Granite. Transform your outdated kitchen with half-priced half-priced granite. $25 per square foot installed. Visit halfpricedgranite.com. Got a lot of comments coming in here this morning, PK. We got multiple questions up, and this one, Kyle Whittingham says $50 million rosters will occur in 2027 recruiting cycle. What is the breaking point? Ike Armstrong, at Ike Armstrong, with a picture of the legendary Utah football coach and athletic director.
Yeah.
Obviously a Ute fan taking on a persona, thank you. I've wondered at what point the U administration says enough and the brethren say enough for the Y. I believe there's a number where both scenarios happen, and I do not pretend to know what that number is.
Well, the brethren being the boosters?
I
Yes.
do not believe that's
Yes.
the brethren he is referring to now.
Well, they are brethren.
And I think
Who carries more weight there?
Feels like
I
right
think
now. It's the
that,
boosters.
Jake, I think you know exactly what he's getting at.
Well, I know what he's getting at. I'm just.
Yeah, the brethren is capitalized, so I assume he's talking about.
They're
people
sitting
who reside
about
in a very
a
tall
mile away
building
from us right
downtown.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're only a mile away from me?
Yep.
Right
yeah,
over
pretty
there.
much.
Yeah.
I've had some interaction with the brethren. Two guys in particular.
Yep. You told me one of those stories, and you said it made you a little uncomfortable.
Well,
Well, you know me. I prefer to remain anonymous.
not too bad. One was over golf, and one was at the Park City Hotel.
Yeah. Yeah, put your mug on TV. These things happen, PK. That's what it comes down to. Daniel says, has Kyle got any suggestions how to remedy this situation?
No.
Probably, but I don't think he was asked about them or we would have heard them.
Well, it takes a uniform approach that I don't know
Yep.
is going to be there.
Nope.
And
He's gone down that road before and suggested that, but it's never gone anywhere. And he's not someone who spends a lot of time wishing for stuff that isn't going to happen. That's just a waste of time, and he's not big on wasting time.
right.
Donovan Mitchell stand. The NFL hard cap's around $225 million, and college football will not pay that much. Well, I never thought they'd pay $50 million either, so I'm a little leery of throwing stuff around. I know why you say that, Donovan Mitchell stand. I get that. But I don't know that I want for any guarantees about where this is going because it's already gone. It's accelerated very quickly to a very big number.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. That's accurate for definitely.
And I just saw a thing there's going to be like, well, it's all estimates, but basically 20 teams paying $20 million per roster in college basketball. Now, it wasn't that long ago and it's probably 4 years ago, that we were told you had to have $2 or $2.5 million if you wanted to build a team that could get an at-large NCAA tournament berth. You know, you could win a conference, especially based on what conference you were in, with less than that. So it's not like every NCAA tournament had that, but the teams that got the at-large bids, which were in the power leagues, they were spending $2.5 million. So now players getting more than that, and we're going to have 20 teams doing $20 million, if you can believe the numbers. I know, they're a little sketchy.
Oh, I can believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that.
It was how long ago was Morgan introduced?
Morgan?
December, right?
I think it was January. I think it was right after the holiday.
Okay, all right. Because at the end of that press conference, it was held in the South End Zone, and then a bunch of people were summoned by the sports information staff into the room, which you would recognize, PK, because it's where they do the football postgame.
Yeah.
And Mark Harlan stands there and takes questions, which he rarely does. I don't know. That might be the only time I've been in that situation with him where he had 15 people standing around him in a semicircle, old school, 1900 style. And he just took questions. And it got a few questions in. And then if I remember correctly, he pivoted off a question that was in the neighborhood on NIL, but he got to a point that I thought he clearly wanted to make. And that was that the U was going to be aggressive with NIL, but was going to use the clearinghouse and everything was going to be by the book.
Right.
And they were going to follow along. And he wanted to make that point. Now, that was 4 months ago. And at the point, nobody laughed in his face and said, What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. You're only saying that because you don't have enough money. At the time, that wasn't where college sports was. But this is accelerating so fast. 4 months later, if that same scenario played out, people would be giggling and giving each other the side eyes. It's accelerated that quickly.
Yep.
Then it seemed like, well, people might stay under this cap, and he says they want to. And now it's like, everybody's blowing past that cap, and it's just 4 months.
Incredible.
Crazy how fast this is changing. We're all done. Coming up next, Scotty and the coach. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.